Is your chronic pain a mind-body symptom and therefore resolvable? This is the first in a series of few videos. The incredible thing about discovering your symptoms are from a mind-body source, that is a neuroplastic source, even those you might have had for years, is that by gradually applying the right knowledge and strategies, those symptoms are given the chance to either fully resolve or at least significantly settle. Yet trying to work out if your chronic or recurring symptoms are from that mind-body stroke neuroplastic source and then accepting that conclusion, that can be quite tricky. And this is because it feels like your symptoms are coming from the body part that hurts, and it's not how we've been brought up to think. However, neuroscience has now shown us that our brains are capable of generating any physical sensation in any part of the body, a fact that can be challenging to get your head around. So, I thought it would help to offer some guidance that's developed from neuroscience, from research, and decades of experience from experts in the fields. And that is from the newly named Association for the Treatment of Neuroplastic Symptoms in the United States and from the organisation in the UK known as SERPA. First, you have to know that all pain you feel is very real, including when it's from a mind-body or neuroplastic source. Secondly, we have to ensure that a structural cause has been ruled out. So that is, you've not had a physical incident with significant force to create a tear, a break, or a bruise in that body part, or you have had a physical incident with that significant force, but you've given it enough time and care for it to heal. Our bodies are generally amazing at healing. They've been evolving to do so for millennia. So this usually means appropriate rest and rehab for 6 to 12 weeks. And you have to make sure that you've been cleared of anything more serious, such as a fracture, an infection, a tumour, cauda equina symptoms, or an autoimmune condition. And you have to have that cleared by your doctors or your medical or health professional. And medical and physios and osteopaths have been very well trained to pick up on those conditions. Then, once you've had those structural causes ruled out, you then need, the next step is to then rule in a mind-body or otherwise known as a neuroplastic condition. And there are a number of patterns and signs that help indicate a likely mind-body source. And most people with neuroplastic symptoms have several of these features, but just having one may still indicate there's a neuroplastic source. And if you do realise that there may be the chance you've got neuroplastic symptoms, fantastic, because that means with a mind-body approach, those symptoms can still be resolved, again, even if you've had them for a really long time. So what are those patterns? Perhaps the most important to acknowledge is symptoms starting around a time of significant challenge, around a time of significant upheaval or change, some loss in your life, or other sort of quite significant life difficulty and stress. So, for example, when I was juggling a teenage family, a new business, I had two elderly relatives with significant daily struggles, both living quite distance apart from each other and quite a long distance from me, and a corporate battle that was from the family but that just happened to land in my lap to sort out. I ended up developing really awful foot pain. It just would not go away, no matter what physical treatment I tried to I had for it. And that condition, that chronic foot pain, is often known as bilateral plantar fasciitis. So all that stress, I think that is what led to that foot pain that just simply would just not go away, no matter what physical treatment I gave to it. Another frequent pattern that we see that helps indicate a mind-body symptom is when symptoms start during or soon after doing a movement or an activity that's normally done, that you've done many, many times before, but without problems. So, for example, I woke up one morning with a recurrence of severe back pain, so much so I had to crawl to the bathroom. And there are no significant mechanical forces or causes to really create any tissue injury whilst I was resting as normal in sort of bed overnight. There was, however, an ongoing significant emotional upset from the day before that I believe was key to that pain starting, but that's a story for another time. A third pattern and signs of how your symptoms are presenting that may indicate that you have a mind body or a neuroplastic source is when symptoms persist well beyond that normal healing time for an injury, which is 6 to 12 weeks, or symptoms restarting in a prior injury site that had already fully healed. A fourth pattern that helps indicate a mind-body source is symptoms starting on the anniversary of an influential or difficult life event. And that really can be probably because the subconscious does tend to remember these things. And it's just quite interesting to look back to think when that started. Was that around a significant time of the year when you'd had some difficult times in your past? A fifth option or fifth pattern that helps indicate that your symptoms may be from a mind-body source and therefore resolvable is that when that new symptom appears in a body area around the same time that another persistent symptom in your body has actually settled down. So for example, you might have had your back's been aching and been a problem, just hasn't settled. It's been going on and on. You have all different sorts of treatments, doesn't seem to settle down. And then you notice that your neck is really starting to hurt and it's really becoming a problem. But then as you really sort of focus on the neck, you think, well, actually, my back doesn't seem as bad as it used to. Or it could be that your right shoulder really starts hurting and just it will not settle down. You think you might have an idea what brought it on, but you're not quite sure. Doesn't seem to fit that structural cause that we have been saying wasn't part of it. But as that shoulder pain started, you then realise, as that shoulder pain then eventually starts to settle down, you go, why have I got symptoms in my left knee now? You notice that symptoms in another body part have started up. Again, you can't really put your finger on what you did to really make it start up, and that symptom goes on and on without it settling down. Another pattern that you often see that indicates a mind-body source is when symptoms develop that was very similar to one that you've witnessed often with quite a lot of upset that you've seen happening in another person that you know, maybe a family member from the past or the present, or in a colleague or a friend, and you see these things and it's been quite upsetting to watch that happening with them and been quite a struggle for them. And then again, it may be way in the past that this occurred, but then you notice actually those are the symptoms that I've got as well. So an example of that is that I had a really good friend at school and she developed really severe back pain, and again for no apparent medical reason. And within weeks, I too then started developing severe back pain for which the doctors could find no physical reason. And looking back, I can see that I had a huge emotional challenge at the time that I was facing. And that back pain, I believe, was my subconscious actually trying to protect me from having to go through that emotional challenge. And I would imagine that my friend's back pain was probably her subconscious hard at work on her behalf too, in some way trying to protect her. So there are many other typical patterns and considerations beyond how symptoms started that can also help determine if they're likely to be from a mind-body source or a neuroplastic source. And I'll look into those in more detail in the next few 2 or 3, maybe even 4 videos that I do in this series. So please do go and have a listen to those videos too. So if you've realised that your symptoms do have a similar pattern to one or more of the ones I've just shared, then great, because if your chronic symptoms are indeed from a neuroplastic source, then you have a good chance of finally gaining significant relief or even full recovery if you undergo the mind-body approach and understanding how these symptoms work and doing some of those strategies that help us to recover. Many thousands with often years of chronic symptoms have already recovered with this approach, and they're now just enjoying wonderful, fully active and fulfilling lives, both at work and at home, and they're free from their symptoms. And if you'd like to find out more, then I do have an introductory training webinar that you can listen to, and the details for that are in the description below this video. So, and if you watch through to the end, you'll also be invited to book a free discovery call if that's something that you'd like to do. You can share your story with me, and we can discuss whether the 10-step online program that I do may be of help to you, may be suitable for you if your symptoms are indeed from a mind-body source. So I'd be honoured to guide and support you towards your recovery, of course. The magic and marvels of life really are on the other side of accepting the amazing capacity of the mind and body to change, and the amazing capacity of the mind to produce symptoms in the body. But with the right strategies and the right understanding, those symptoms can be resolved. So thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to maybe speaking to you soon. Take care. Bye bye.